Yes, this is John G. Sutton, and welcome to Tales from the Jails. Yeah, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about the poisoner, Graham Young, who killed a number of people over his life by poisoning them. He was absolutely, he should have been a chemist or something like that, or a pharmaceutical operator or something. But anyway, he decided that he didn't want to do that. He wanted to be a killer. Anyway, he murdered these people by putting paraquat into the tea at the place where he worked, and people started falling ill, and their hair came out, and they eventually died, and they found out that it was Graham Young. Now, you look him up. Google Graham Young, the poisoner. Alright, so anyway, it comes to 1975, and I'm at Wormwood Scrubs, and it was early days in the hospital. I went into the hospital wing. Come in, John. Nice to meet you. Welcome to Wormwood Scrubs. I, I thought they were being nice to me. Sit down, John. Sit down. Let's show you round the ward. This is one of the hospital staff. I didn't realise they were being facetious. But anyway, you will have a cup of tea, John. You have a cup of tea, and we'll get you a little biscuit. How would you like that? I said, well, very, very nice, I thought they'd been extremely nice to me here. So this, come here. This guy came up to me, a prisoner, He said, Mr. Sutton would like a cup of tea, wouldn't you, Mr. Sutton? I said, well, that'd be very nice, yeah. And he'll have one of those little biscuits, yes. Well, yes, that's very kind of you. So anyway, 5 minutes later or something like that, the prisoner who was in the hospital ward came in and brought me a cup of tea and a little, I don't know, a penguin or a Kit Kat, something like that. And I drank the tea and had a little chat about what they did on the hospital ward. And I finished the tea. I said, well, that's very nice. No, I have to go to another part of the prison. I was on the induction thing, when I first went there. He said, oh, by the way, he said, do you know this prisoner? And it was the prisoner who brought me the tea. I said, no, I don't know who he is. I just assume he's one of your prisoners and working like as a red band, in the hospital ward. He said, this is Graham Young. Graham Young, the poisoner. They thought it was highly amusing to have a man who'd been convicted of murdering about 6 or 7 people by poisoning make me a cup of tea. Strange place. Now listen, years went by, 5 years perhaps, and I was seconded to the National Health Service. I was training to be a hospital officer, you see, and as part of that you get seconded to the National Health Service and you work alongside registered nurses, you see, and doctors and all the rest of it. So I was seconded to work at Ashworth. It's an institution for the criminally insane, yeah? That's for people who have been committed to imprisonment but found to be insane and therefore unsuitable to be in standard prison accommodation and are transferred to a secure unit. One of those secure units was Ashworth. Ashworth Hospital. It's near Liverpool, Maghull, that area. Alright, so I went there and there to experience what there is to experience in the criminal justice system, because as a nurse that's what I would be required to do. And I'd only been there a couple of days and they took me into this specific unit inside the walls of Ashworth Prison, which is a secure Category A unit, yeah? And there in this prison there was an inmate came up to me. He said, Mr. Sutton, He said, we haven't met for years. He said, you're looking really well. Nice to see you again. It was Graham Young, believe it or not. And he dressed himself up. This is God's honest truth. Dressed himself up. He looked just like Hitler. He had a little moustache, yeah, that he'd blackened, yeah. His cell, he had a cell there inside Ashworth, and it was done out with Nazi memorabilia, flags and books on Hitler and Mein Kampf and all that stuff. And Graham Young was really enthusiastic about this, and he said, how wonderful to see you, trying to shake my hand and all the rest of it. And what a memory. I mean, he'd only ever met me once, and that would have approximately 5 years before, when I was at Wormwood Scrubs, and that was the only time he'd met me. But he remembered. But there's another strange story about Graham Young. Because believe me, Graham Young was as mad as a box of frogs. One night, I was on night duty, and when I reported for night duty, the principal officer in charge of the prison said, Mr. Sutton, you're in charge of prisoners that have come from the IRA tonight. You're going into the secure unit inside the hospital. Really? Yeah, so I went inside, and inside the prison hospital they've got a prison within a prison within a prison, you know. This is really secure, and it's like a iron bars, and you go through the iron bars, through the gate, into another cell, and inside there's another set of cells, another set of iron bars, and behind them are the cells, and that's where the prisoners were, and I was in between the two, but to make sure that the two inmates who were in there didn't escape. I was security in charge of that for the night. And these two inmates who were supposedly members of the IRA, they were spaced out of their heads. They didn't know where the hell they were. They didn't know if they were in Wormwood Scrubs or Wandsworth, or they could have been in Butlins for all they knew. And they're saying to me, and I just see them sat there in the cell, you know, completely bemused, drunk. They'd stoned, I don't know what they'd been drinking, but they were absolutely out of their minds. And it was all over the press. IRA arrested in Brighton. They had the hit squad, you know, and apparently they'd found these guys drunk in Brighton with a World War II military pistol and a list of people that they had to kill. And it started with things like the Queen, Buckingham Palace, the Prime Minister, Downing Street. Seriously. And they were supposedly sent by the IRA to commit these murders. And whoever they were had got them drunk. And they were so smashed they didn't know where they were. So I said to them, come on lads, you know, are you alright? You know, do you know where you are? Where are we, boss? I sure don't know. Where am I? I said, you're in Wormwood Scrubs. It's a prison. The Scrubs? What am I doing here now? What am I supposed to have done? Didn't know what they'd done. I said, listen, you're in prison. All you've got to do is stay quiet, nice and lie down. If you want a drink of water or something like that, there's some water here. You know, I had a jug full of water. So you'll be all right. All you got to do is rest and sleep, and tomorrow you get your breakfast, and you'll know where you are then. And for some unknown reason, Graham Young had been performing up in the hospital, and he'd been shouting and screaming, and they put him in one of the padded cells. And he decided he was going to sing to us, Graham Young, yeah? So it would be about 11:30 at night, and Graham Young started singing. This is God's honest truth, yeah? He started singing, Daisy, Daisy, give me your answer do. I'm all loud, and it echoed all round the place. And these IRA said, oh, stop, stop, no, you know, I cannot take it. You know, I said, listen, I tell you what, we can't shut Graham Young up, but what we can do is we can sing, and we'll sing Danny Boy. Do you know, the two Irish prisoners. They were Irish. Didn't know the words to Danny Boy. So I'm start singing. I'll sing for you. Just join in, you know. Oh, Danny Boy, the pipes are calling. Seriously, as loud as I possibly could. And they're trying to join in, but I mean, they were rubbish at it. Imagine being Irish and not knowing the words to Danny Boy. They didn't know. After about 15 minutes, the senior hospital officer came down and said, "Papa, shut up!" You know, to me, you know. So I said, yeah, we'll shut up, but shut him up. He said, "I'm just about to do it." He got this liquid gosh in a syringe, opened the door, straight into Graham Young, and that was it. Graham Young was quiet after that. And we didn't sing anymore because, believe me, I didn't fancy getting a house full of that. Nope, no largactyl for John. Strange world.